The Depth to Delve Deep by Rote Writer. Chapter 70. Biarritz. Back at the train station in Paris, Rote realizes there's no way he can return to the campground and remain there undetected, especially at this hour. He doesn't want to sleep outside the station, so he blindly boards another train without knowing its direction or bothering to purchase a ticket. He pulls out 5 minutes later, maybe two stops outside of Paris. The conductor calls out, "Tickets, tickets!" Rope pulls out his ticket from Chartres, thinking he can play dumb in defense. His ticket is never torn or punched to or from Chartres. It looks like a new ticket. He hands it to him like it's the correct ticket. Conductor, confounded, replies, "This is a ticket for Chartres." "Yes, I know. This train is going through to Bordeaux, beyond into Biarritz." "Oh." Midnight train conductor seems even more astonished. He lets Rope know, "You can get off the next stop there. There will not be another train back to Paris, let alone from Paris to Chartres at this hour." "No problem." Rote solves that problem by purchasing a return ticket to Biarritz. He is familiar with the destination. He remembers a patron from the inn he works at in Avalon speak of the town. He mentions to Rote there's always room to be found in Biarritz. It's a seaside transient town in south of France, Atlantic side, a few miles from the Spanish border in Basque country, by the Bay of Biscay. With the newly purchased ticket in hand, Rote rests. The train passes through central and then southwest France into Bordeaux, wine country. In the middle of the night, he passes through many towns and villages known for divine wine. He's a bit miffed at missing the opportunity to see the French countryside. It would have been nice to see Lourdes at the foot of the Pyrenees. He knows it's another place of pilgrimage, renowned for its Roman Catholic shrine marking the site where the Virgin Mary is said to have appeared to Aplenty before Saint Bernadette. His mind wanders onto the subject of Joan of Arc. He has learned to love the lore of Lorraine. Joan of Arc is a true as a troubadour, cut from the same cloth as all the national heroes he's heralded in so far along his way. She suffers such a terrible fate. After fighting for France, like William Wallace for Scotland, he's drawn and quartered. She's burned at the stake like a witch for wearing pants. Rote changes trains in Bordeaux. The train is packed with young travelers. Their backpacks are stacked on racks. He has to perch himself in between two train cars. It prevents him from getting much needed rest. The train arrives in Biarritz by the Bay of Biscay early in the morning. Rote steps off the train into a torrential downpour. He can't see the sun, but he can see the bay. Rote reluctantly adjusts his pack on his back and hikes in the direction of the bay. His plan is to find a secluded spot by the bay, somewhere, anywhere. He'll set up something, more or less nothing. He'll slip his sleeping bag into a big orange plastic garbage bag and himself for some much needed rest. Maybe when the weather clears, he'll swim. Rote's burdened by his backpack. He winds his way through the streets. Some go up, others go down. They all seem to go around in circles towards the coast. He falters from his fatigue. He can see a hill in the distance overlooking the bay. He sees no houses and thinks maybe he'll be able to set up somewhere there overlooking the Bay of Biscay. Just below the hill is a small beach. Rote rests there before beginning his climb. The bay view is beautiful, but he's beyond any ability to appreciate anything that morning. He heads up the hill hoping to escape detection. He figures people will be milling about soon. Once on top of the hill, he realizes it's part of a golf course. Now he knows why there are no houses. How else could such a beautiful spot be left bare? He figures he can still sleep in the rough by the cliff edge, though any golfer in a golf cart or just walking by would easily spot him. He doesn't care at this point. He's just tired of it all. Now to have to pull out his big, bright orange garbage bag to seek cover from what seems to be an ever-present storm only dampens his spirits. It seems a storm cloud follows him. It sure doesn't Scholar at the start of his journey, and now, nearing what seems the end of his journey, it still does. The wind howls and the rain pours. He tries to keep dry in his sleeping bag while inside his oversized orange plastic bag. The only way to prevent the rain and wet from getting inside the bag is to fold it at its opening. And because of the wind, he has to place brick-sized rocks to keep it sealed. He's done in like death, burrowed in a body bag. His breath gives him two headaches, one from the eventual lack of air to breathe, and two, the condensation from the warmth of his breath soaks his sleeping bag. For 3 nights he stays perched overlooking the beautiful Bay of Biscay. Day and night it rains, and when the sun breaks through for brief periods, it's hot. He feels the heat during his daily trips to town. The town is beautiful, tourist type of town with an overwhelming feel to it. The Basque, like some of the Irish in regards to the English, feel the French and the Spanish were occupying their land. The Basque people believe they have a nation long before either France or Spain ever become independent nations. Rote learns the Basque and their culture goes so far back that no one is quite sure where their origins begin. They've just always been in the area. Rote wonders if they have some Celtic connection. He knows close to that part of northern Spain sprouts the Scots story. Way by the bay that Rote takes every day is cloistered with European architecture along with Roman arches and aqueducts. He sees many ancient Madonna statues set within stone surrounding the rocky coast. Rote feels like he can experience Spain vicariously through the Basque. It's no more than 50 miles to the border. Rote basks in the sun one day while there's a brief break in the clouds. He's on his way back from Biarritz by the way of a beautiful beach. He strips down to his underwear and goes for a swim. Each step he takes into the water, he feels more and more invigorated. He needs to be refreshed, and had he not been shouted at out of the water by a lifeguard, he would have felt much better. The lifeguard spots him outside of the small section safe for swimming. He runs half a mile just to tell Rote there's no swimming allowed outside of the designated areas. Rote would have complied earlier, but with no swimwear safe for his underwear, he thought not. What a way to put a damper on the day. He calls it a day and heads back to his hill perch, linked to the links. He braces himself for another night of stormy weather. Earlier in the day, before coming back by way of the bay from Biarritz, Rote looks at a local newspaper. He learns this summer so far proves to be one of Biarritz's wettest summers on record. The following morning, after 3 miserable nights up on the hill, hunkered with bunkers, he packs up and hikes down towards the train station. It's like a hurricane up there. If he finds a secluded spot along the way, he'll take it. He's barely slept. He's sure he hasn't the past 3 nights. He's had it with the wicked weather. There seems to be no rest for the wicked. Last night, after early this morning, he's sure the wind and the rain teamed up to throw him off the cliff, to be broken like a bottle bashed on a rock on the briny bottom below. The hike back to the train station is no more pleasant than the hike from it. By the time he arrives, he thinks, well, he just wants to go home, but he has no home. He sells everything before his trip overseas begins, forfeiting his apartment and more than likely his abandoned vehicle in the process. He's back on the train and glad to have his backpack off his back. He's been living like a mule. He leaves Biarritz believing he's at least attempted in direction to see Santiago de Compostela, the last of the 7 sacred sites. He's already seen the one in Scotland and passed by the one in Amiens on his way to the one seen in Paris. He's seen another in Chartres and passes the one in Aurélien and Toulouse. Well, not really. Toulouse is closer to the Mediterranean, but he does look in that direction from time to time. He realizes his raison d'etre in regards to seeing 7 sacred sites is secured. Now, no matter how much he mulls and muses over historical facts, he still feels empty. And with no real reason to learn more, he's left at a loss. He's far from fine. He knows he can no longer pride himself in being a pilgrim. He's without purpose. The train arrives back in Paris earlier in the evening. He knows he can't go back to the campground. He's sure all the hostels and hotels are more than likely booked. Outside the train station, he sees a bus heading to Charles de Gaulle Airport. At the airport, he walks from one airline booth to another, looking into the prices for a flight back to his home country. He's had enough. No joy. What's the point in pushing on further when he can't appreciate anything he sees? He realizes it's peak season. The tickets are outrageously hiked up in price. Rote gives up the hope of returning today. He thinks he'll have to wait for the summer to end before prices start to drop. Maybe then he'll be able to afford a flight home. So, where to next? He leaves the airport and heads to a nearby coach station. He looks into the coach fares and routes to almost every European country, and without care thinks, why not Rome, Italy? The bus leaves only once a week, and it's not today or tomorrow. Rote hikes to the nearest metro station, headed towards one of Paris' many train stations, Gare something. He boards blindly the first train he sees loaded with passengers. He doesn't care. He could be heading anywhere.